Welcome back to NewsX World. I'm Joshua Barnes and you're watching Focal Length, where we get you a briefing on topics from across the world. Human Rights Watch's report has accused Israel of genocide by halting water flow to Gaza. So, what is the outlook of Israel as it continues daily strikes in Gaza amid ceasefire talks? Is the end of the Gaza war in sight? Could Donald Trump be better equipped to negotiate a truce between Israel and Hamas than Joe Biden? Is a hostage exchange with Hamas possible? What are Israel's actions in the Golan Heights amid global criticism? How do Israeli forces plan to respond to Houthi attacks? Let's find out. Joining us is Miri Eisin. She is a retired IDF colonel and military expert and geopolitical strategist specialising in Middle Eastern affairs. Following her military service, Colonel Eisin became the first woman to serve as the foreign media advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. Currently, Colonel Eisin is the director of the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism at Reichman University in Herzliya, Israel. Thank you, Miri Eisin, for joining us. My first question to you is, what do you have to say about the latest report by the Human Rights Watch about water flow being deliberately stopped from entering into Gaza, accusing Israel of committing genocide?
Israel, for the last 14 months, has been fighting a horrible war. There's nothing good to say about war. There's a big difference between a horrible war and using the word genocide. In the last 14 months, not even once has Israel targeted civilians. You're right, we have killed civilians, but there's a big difference between Hamas hiding behind them and our trying to find Hamas, to attack Hamas, to find our hostages, and between targeting civilians. So Israel has completely always, this isn't about denying, it's about understanding what genocide means. We all want a peaceful resolution. Let's attack Hamas. Let's get them out of the equation.
Do you think it's necessary to continue striking Gaza every day until a hostage deal exchange is negotiated?
The Gaza Strip is made up out of over 2 million people. By the way, I know that that's not necessarily a big number in India. It is an enormous number in this area. Hamas is both built into the Gaza Strip, into the Palestinian public. They're of it. They built their capabilities into the civilian population. Hamas they are a genocidal, horrific terror organization. They have taken, at the beginning, hundreds of Israelis. There's a 9-month baby who's already over 2 years old that we don't know whatever happened to him, that was taken on October 7th. This isn't about striking the Gaza Strip. It's about attacking Hamas that put itself in the Gaza Strip. It's about trying to find hostages. And my heart goes out to every single civilian that is hurt. Israel gives early warning. We tell people to move. As I said before, war is never nice. It's never pretty. It's never easy. We never target the civilians. If Hamas right now give back the 100 hostages that they took so brutally, this would be over, and I wish it would be.
Do you think the end of the Gaza war is in sight amid negotiation talks being held with the help of Qatar and the US?
For the last 14 months, I've wanted this war to be over from before it started. Not just the horrific, barbaric attack, a new modus operandi that a terror organization, terror army did. Hamas can have it over right now if they bring back the 100. So in this case, why are we talking about negotiating with the terror organization? Yes, at the end, we're going to have to pay a price, but this isn't because we should have. It's because Hamas, as a terror organization, is using terror tactics. We have no choice. How can we get back the 9-month baby that's now over a year old? How can we get back the dozens of young people, of older people, of an 86-year-old man? We have no choice. I think it's a bit closer now. But as I say, this isn't a happy moment. I wish we would stop looking at Hamas as being a negotiation partner and call it what it is, a horrific terror army that did something heinous, and at the end, we will have to pay a price because of that.
Do you think Donald Trump is better equipped to negotiate a truce between Israel and Hamas?
I don't think that US presidents, neither US President Biden nor the US President Trump, are good negotiators when it comes to Hamas. The United States of America, different from Israel, does not negotiate with terrorists. And we do. I say it sadly, it's our Achilles heel. We cannot afford as a society for a terror organization to take anybody within our society, and they took hundreds on October 7th, and just not negotiate. When you don't negotiate, they execute them, and we can't handle that. Hamas have already executed that. I don't think that Trump will be better. I don't think that Biden was worse. I think at the end that we need a facilitator, but the facilitator is not the United States as a negotiator. The facilitator are more the Sunni countries in our arena who actually have full dialogue with the leadership of Hamas. And those are impacted by the US president. And both Biden and Trump don't want to be involved, but they are involved. And hopefully it'll just come to an end, not because of Trump, but because it's already been 14, almost 15 months, and it needs to end.
Can a hostage exchange be struck with Hamas?
I don't believe Hamas. I don't believe a terror army. I don't believe a terror organization that chose to go into politics so that the world would recognize it as legit, but it never renounced any of its terror capabilities, its terror army, its terror tactics. What Hamas did, not the Palestinian people, what Hamas did on October 7th is a crime of which we really can't talk about. So I don't believe Hamas. Having said that, I have to hope. We need to have our citizens who were taken brutally, not just our citizens, residents, international people that were taken brutally into the Gaza Strip in the way that they were. We need them back. So I'm going to hope that Hamas is so heavily hurt, I have no other way to put it, as a terror organization, that they will agree, but I'm not hopeful that they will actually become something different. They'll still be a heinous terror organization.
What do you have to say about Israeli forces capturing more Syrian territory in the Golan Heights?
I invite everybody to come to Israel. We're a very interesting and beautiful country. And I invite them to go up to the Golan Heights, and I invite them to go up to the portion of Jabal al-Sheikh, Mount Hermon, that Israel held from 1967 for the last 57 years. And from there, we went several kilometers into the Syrian portion. Topography does matter. If rebels, that sounds like the good guys, if Islamist extremists had caught that point in Syria, that would be bad news, not just for Israel, but for the world. Inside Syria right now, there are a lot of different groups, and I hope for the Syrians that they have a better future. The Israeli actions in capturing a topographical point that from there you could literally see almost to Tel Aviv on a clear day, that in the different areas that we're going into to prevent any kind of attack against Israel, not because we're paranoid, but because we lived through October 7th of 2023 and we did not expect that attack and we were wrong. So I see Israel's actions as being actions that can help Syria, not in a patronizing way, but that the weaponry, that the threat against Israel will not be used by the rebels. We destroyed over the last 2 weeks the bulk of the weapons that Bashar al-Assad, Hezbollah, and Iran had accumulated in Syria. Thus, they don't fall into the hands of any of the rebel groups. That's better for the rebels. It's better for the world. Maybe this way chemical weapons won't show up, not in Mumbai and not in Paris and not in Berlin. We didn't kill anybody doing so. It's topography and denying rebels the weapons is a good thing for their own establishment. It's not about anything else.
Do you think the ouster of Assad from Syria will revive ISIS's presence in the Middle East?
ISIS never disappeared. We all know that. It's under the surface. But ISIS represented the youth's desire, not all of them, those that went to it, to belong to something important and big. And what I hope inside Syria, and I hope this for them, for the leadership that's stepping in, that they offer the youth, both in Syria and in other places, a much better vision of Islam and of nationalism inside Syria than the Islamic State's vision. So it's there. but I don't think that it's suddenly going to burst out. I really think that the youth there need to see a different alternative that they haven't yet seen. And if it's offered, perhaps we'll see something different. And until we see something different, because it is still there, we're going to protect ourselves. And in protecting what we're doing right now in Israel, I think that we are also helping the rest of the world by destroying the weaponry that could be horrific if it fell into the hands of ISIS.
How do the Israeli forces plan on tackling the Houthi attacks?
Israel has been attacked by the Yemenite-speaking Yemen, Iranian-backed Houthi forces 320 times since September of 2023. That's almost every day. They have fired at Israel intercontinental ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, drones. They have managed to kill an Israeli in Tel Aviv. They have had both drones and other missiles that have hit. Happily, aside from that one man that was killed in Tel Aviv, we haven't had casualties from the Houthis. Israel has already attacked the Houthi strongholds in Yemen twice, and overnight we attacked them again. We will continue to do so. This is a problem, again, not for Israel. The fact that the Yemenite Houthis say that they're doing that because of the oppression of Palestine, the Houthis are doing that. They are supplied and backed by the Islamic regime of Iran. All of the capabilities that they have, ICBMs, cruise missiles, drones, are all supplied from Iran. And I wish for the Yemenites a different future. In the meantime, Israel will continue both to defend itself with our aerial defense, stopping these missiles from entering into Israeli territory, as happened just this morning, and attacking the Houthi positions in Yemen. The Houthis are in specific areas. They have not just impacted Israel, they have impacted all of Asia, all of Europe, because they are sitting on one of the world's main shipping routes. So it's not just about Israel attacking the Houthis, it's about the Houthis disrupting world shipping. And everybody should be attuned and against what the Houthis are doing.
Thank you, Miri Eisin, for speaking to us on Focal Length. With that, it's a wrap on this episode. For more international news updates, stay tuned on NewsX World.